Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the first group and we are going to present an analysis novel entitled The Color Purple. The members of the group are first Ines Afili Damayanti, student number is 1, second Fabelia Dwi Nurani, the student number is 3, and the last Nuzul Zahrotushsholikhah, student number is 5. The first point we are going to deliver is synopsis. The synopsis of this novel is: The Color Purple documents the traumas and gradual triumph of Sally, an African-American teenager raised in rural isolation in Georgia, as she comes to resist the paralyzing self-concept forced on her by others. Sally narrates her life through painfully honest letters to God. These are prompted when her abusive father, Alfonso, warns her not to tell anybody but God after he rapes her and she becomes pregnant for a second time at the age of 14. After she gives birth, Alfonso takes the child away, as he did with her first baby, leaving Sally to believe that both have been killed. When the widowed Mr. Blah Blah Blah, or also called Albert, proposes marriage to Sally's younger sister Nettie, Alfonso pushes him to take Sally instead, forcing her into an abusive marriage. Soon thereafter, Nettie flees Alfonso and briefly lives with Sally. However, Albert's continued interest in Nettie results in her leaving. Sally subsequently begins to build relationships with other black women, especially those engaging forcefully with oppression. Of note is the defiant Sofia, who marries Albert's son Harpo after becoming pregnant. Unable to control her, Harpo seeks advice, and Sally suggests that he beat Sofia. However, when Harpo strikes her, Sofia fights back. Upon learning that Sally encouraged Harpo's abuse, she confronts a guilty Sally, who admits to being jealous of Sofia's refusal to back down, and the two women become friends. More significant, however, is Sally's relationship with Shaga Avari, a glamorous and independent singer who is also Albert's sometime mistress. Sally tends to an ailing Shaga, and the two women grow close, eventually becoming lovers. During this time, Sally discovers that Albert has been hiding letters that Nettie has sent her. Sally begins reading them and learns that Nettie has befriended a minister, Samuel, and his wife Corinne, and that the couple's adopted children, Adam and Olivia, are actually Sally's. Nettie joins the family on a mission in Liberia, where Corinne later dies. The letters also reveal that Alfonso is actually Sally's stepfather and that her biological father was lynched. Questioning her faith, Sally begins addressing her letters to Nettie. However, Shug later encourages Sally to change her belief about God. An important Sally then decides to leave Albert and go to Memphis with Shug. Once there, Sally comes into her own and creates a successful business selling tailored pants. Her happiness, however, is tempered somewhat by Shaga's affairs, though Sally continues to love her. Following Alfonso's death, Sally inherits his house, where she eventually settles. During this time, she develops a friendship with Albert, who is apologetic about his earlier treatment of her. After some 30 years apart, Sally is then reunited with Nettie, who has married Samuel. Sally also meets her long-lost children.
I will explain about theme, setting, and plot. First, theme. Theme are feminist and women. And the second is setting. In rural Georgia in the early 20th century, Western Africa in a small village in the early 20th century, and then the last in Tennessee. And the plot is forward plot. Initial situation: Sally is an African black girl. He has a cruel father. His father often raped him until he was pregnant twice at the age of 14, and both of the baby is killed and thrown into the forest by his father. She always writes a letter about that to God. And about the conflict, Sally wants to protect her little sister named Nettie from her uh, father and Mr. Albert. Sally was forced to marry with Mr. Albert by her father. Sally became a victim constantly until finally she met with Stuck, who always protect her from Mr. Albert and her father. The climax is Stuck and Sally know that Mr. Albert has kept Nettie's letter from Sally all along. He deliberately set Sally to spread from Nettie. This makes Sally have the ability to rise in anger toward her husband and no longer be a victim. She left Mr. Albert and followed Chuck to Tennessee. From Nettie's letter, Sally learned that the father was not really the father that was not really his father. A little other knowledge that gave him strength. So Sally finally took control and make a life and happiness. After a long time, the father died. Sally met with Nettie and lived happily with two children.
The point of view of this book is from the first person. So the massive part of this book is directly told by Sally itself. The characters and characterization. The first character is the protagonist one. She is Sally. Sally is a tough and a brave woman. It shows that she had struggles during her life, but finally, in the end of the book, she finds her happiness. The second character is Nettie. Nettie is a lovely and loyal sister. It is proved by she loves Sally unconditionally throughout the struggles she had. The third character is Alfonso. Alfonso is actually a stepfather to Sally and Nettie, but she is he is a cruel and rude father because he did an abusive attitude to Sally. The fourth character is Mr. Blah 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 or Albert. Albert is a mean and rude guy because he also did an abusive thing to Sally. The next character is Harpo. Harpo is actually a nice guy because he obeys what the other is saying. The next character is Sophia. So Sophia is a wife of Harpos. She she is a strong yet good woman. She finally befriends with Sally. And then there's Shug Avery, which is a loving and caring woman. Shug is a person who, in the end of the book, she befriend and accompany Sally.
Okay, I will explain about the extrinsic elements of the novel The Color of Purple. The other backgrounds. The author of The Color of Purple, Alice Walker, was born on February 9, 1944 in Edenton, Georgia, United States. She is the eighth child of the couple Lily Walker and Minnie Teltula Grant Walker. When she was a child, she experienced many acts of violence and discrimination from various parties, like from her dad and her husbands, and that is the reason for her to create many works. The social backgrounds of the author. After she graduated from high school in 1961, Walker received a scholarship and studied at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. After 2 years she studied at Spelman College, Walker received a scholarship and studied at Sarah Lawrence College, New York. During she studied in the college, she got guidance from Roy Kaiser and John Cooper. They helped Walker to explore and improve her talent in writing. In 1982, Walker completed his novel named The Color Purple. The novel is about the poor lives of black woman named Sally. Besides that, Walker also creates many works about the rights of residents. And the moral value of the novel are the lesson that can be learned from the novel is that we must be brave in fighting all acts of violence and discrimination. As women, we must strong and independent. And the other lessons that can we learn is sexual violence and free sex are inappropriate because they are not appropriate and forbidden in the norms of life and have negative impacts.
That's all from us. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.